What do you think is the coldest place in existence? Do you think it would be the far side, the dark side of the moon? The temperature there dips down to about negative 378 degrees Fahrenheit. Or maybe it's further out in outer space, where the temperature is estimated to reach about negative 455 degrees Fahrenheit. And both of these would be good guesses. But the reality is, according to the Smithsonian Magazine, the coldest temperature ever recorded has actually been right here on Earth, created in a lab at MIT. Leave it to those geeks in the lab. What do you want to do today? Let's make it cold. Where they took the temperature to just a smidge. And by smidge, I mean 810 trillionths, to be exact, above absolute zero, which is minus 459.67 degrees Fahrenheit. At that temperature, things are so cold that none of the normal properties of physics, of gravity, or electroconductivity that we are experiencing in this room at this point in time exist. At these extremes, temperature, everything as we know it, is virtually turned upside down. And yet, there's one place that I can think of that would be even colder than this, even colder than absolute zero. That place would be standing outside of God's love and favor. How cold must that be? Imagine what the people of Israel must have done to be standing in this very spot by the time that Isaiah had received this message. The answer to the question is found in the earlier chapters of the book of Isaiah. Over time, the people had engaged in worshiping false idols. King Uzziah had reigned for a period of 50 years, and it was a time of peace and prosperity. And you would think that that would mean that good things would be happening. But as is often the case in the time of peace and prosperity, people grew complacent. Complacency led to walking away from God, away from living lives that were based on a continual relationship, a continual connection with God. In other words, lives of hope, peace, joy, and love created from their connection to God turned into lives focused on self-fulfillment, personal glory, searching for recognition, self-aggrandizement, and scrambling for power. Humans are interesting beings. How easy is it when we are threatened, when we feel that we're facing life and death struggles, for us to turn to God, to ask for help, to pledge to make things right, and to put God central in our lives. If only we get through this moment. How many movies have we watched where the child has been struck down and is ill and is lying in a hospital bed, and the parent is praying fervently at the edge of the bed, "If my child survives, I will. I promise that I will pray every day." But in many situations, once the crisis is past, once a time of relative peace and prosperity comes into our lives, we conveniently forget and we walk away from our promise of God, to God. So often, our daily prayer then becomes a monthly prayer, a weekly prayer, and then nothing. Many times, the person who has made the promise to God ends up walking away almost entirely. It happens so easily, bit by bit. Things become colder and colder, so gradually as we walk away from God, we don't even realize. Imagine the task of being the one to tell the people the task of Isaiah. I, the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry. Who will bear my light to them? Whom shall I send? So many times we've sung these very words, often with a tear in our eye and a pull in our heart, especially when we full-heartedly reply with the refrain, "Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night." This hymn, like so many written before, is based on the readings that we just heard from Isaiah. Like Isaiah, we are often quick to respond. We get wrapped up in the tune and in the sense of call and response, our own response of, "Here I am, send me," that we easily miss what is said. Or in the case of the hymn, what is sung, God saying, "I have borne my people's pain. I have wept for love of them. They turn away." God's message isn't always an easy one for us to hear. The passage from Isaiah paints a vivid picture. Yahweh, God, is seated high upon God's throne, and all around fly mighty seraphim, angels of the highest order. But make no mistake, these are no angels that are similar to those lovely, bright, shiny Christmas angels that we were talking about just a few Sundays ago, singing in angelic choirs. No, these are 6 winged creatures whose voices were so loud they shook the temple to its foundation and filled the place with smoke. Think more along the line of dragons than of traditional Christmas angels. Some readings in Numbers and in Deuteronomy have said that these creatures looked like flying serpents. They were fearful creatures to Isaiah, and they would be to you and I. Let's be very clear. This picture of God and these angels is not a peaceful, quiet manger scene. This is a place of fear and of shaking, a place to be taken seriously, and God's message taken equally seriously. Yahweh spoke, asking a very simple question: whom shall I send as a messenger to my people? And immediately Isaiah spoke up and said, "Here I am, send me." Within just a few moments, though, he was wishing he hadn't spoken so quickly. You see, the serious message that God wanted delivered was not filled with warm fuzzies and sentimental fondness. The message that God had for the people of Israel was not an easy one, and yet needed to be delivered. As the biblical commentator John Holbert says, Isaiah was told to go to the people telling them they were not going to understand this message because they had hardened their hearts. And as a result, they could not comprehend God's message for them. As a result, they would not be able to turn to God for help and for healing. Furthermore, what the prophet is called to speak will not make their lives any easier, their roads smoother, or their responsibilities any plainer. Everything will be more confusing and less certain. It will be more difficult to perceive just what it is that God wants from the people. So saith the Lord. What a hard message to share. Imagine being told to go to the people and to tell them that they had turned their backs on God. And as a result, everything that they knew and that they had worked so hard to create was going to be destroyed and set to ruin. It was only after things were cut down that new life would grow. New life would come out of the stump, the only evidence that they had ever existed in the first place. What a cold place to be. Not in being the one called to deliver the message, but to be the people of Israel. To be the people that God intended to hear this very message. I can't think of a more desolate place, a more hopeless, despairing place than to be in their shoes. To hear the words that they had walked away from God. They have already turned their back on God, and as a result, they won't get it. They won't even be able to understand the message that's being delivered to them. All they will know is destruction and desolation. We can so easily turn our back on God, bit by bit. We get so wrapped up, so absolutely confident in our own selves, in what we know, in our own experiences and lives and the stories that others have told and that we have retold, that we get to the point where we stop questioning. We get set in our ways. Why question? Why remain open to another possibility that we cannot even fathom, that we cannot even comprehend, because we know when we do this, when we move into this place, we cut ourselves off from the mystery that is God, from the possibility that we don't know all that there is to know, every side of every story. When we do this, we harden our own hearts to God. We close our own ears to the voice of God. We are the ones who pull away, just like the Israelites in the time of Isaiah. If this is how we live our lives, why should we expect God, Yahweh, to do anything else but the exact same to us? What a cold place this would be. Absolute zero would have nothing on how cold this would feel. For those who have ears to hear, there is still time. We need to continue in prayer, continue to open ourselves up to the prompting and the leading of God's Spirit. We need to continue always to be open to receiving messages of love and of peace and of joy and of hope. But more importantly, God expects us to share, to live those messages of love and peace and joy and hope with all those around us. Otherwise, what's the sense? We're not to hoard these things up for ourselves, clutching them to our chests like they're precious gifts only for us. No, God expects us to live these messages. To do anything else but live lives of love, peace, joy, and hope means that we're not living as God wants us, calls us, and expects us to live. To live complacent lives, stuck in anger, in despair, in fear, hurt, and in self-centeredness, and to do nothing about it. And furthermore, spreading this with others while at the same time calling ourselves to be Christian amounts to us turning our backs on God. The truth is, our church is going through a tough time. It's a time that our people need to be steeped in hope, in love, peace, and joy that comes from a deep connection with God. This week I was asked by another ministerial colleague here in London if the rumors that they were hearing were true. Was MCC London about to fold up and to close? I said that I didn't know the answer to that question. The truth is, the answer to this question sits with you. Obviously, there has been talk in the community. And that's not surprising given the nature of what the board shared with you about our financial update and the results of the pledge campaign. But let me say this. Anything that has been shared or stated about our tough financial situation with a sense of glee, with a sense of self-satisfaction, a sense of, I told you so, attitude, is not of God. Anything that has been shared from a place of malicious gossip, oh my, Did you hear? Let me tell you what I just learned. Rather than coming from a place of concern, have you heard that? What do you think we can do to help? Is not of God. And anything that does not come from a place of love, of hope, of joy and peace runs the danger of having the individual saying it, stepping into the hope. Not because of lack of loyalty to this church, but because it's stepping out of how God calls us to be as God's children. The Israelites made their choice. Now it's up to us. Whether we stay in God's warmth or experience the cold of God's displeasure, as the Israelites did during the days of Isaiah. It's up to us in the way that we live our lives. Ultimately, it's our choice. On this Epiphany Sunday, this final Sunday of the Christmas liturgical season, let's recommit ourselves to hope, to peace, to joy and love for ourselves and for each other. May we do our best to live lives that radiate the warmth of these messages.